Hi, Mystery Reviews here. Today, I'm going to show a sci-fi and action film called Rebel Blood. The evil Mother World Empire rules the universe after taking out the royal family. Rebel groups are forming on different planets, so the Empire is sending soldiers everywhere to stop them. A while back, Admiral Aduz arrived on Velt and told the farmers to hand over their grain for his army, promising to return in 10 weeks. If the farmers give away all their grain, the village will have no food. Former Empire soldier Cora and her boyfriend Gunnar traveled around to gather warriors to help fight the soldiers. During their journey, they met Atticus at a trading post and a battle broke out, leading to Cora taking down the admiral. Unfortunately, the Empire takes Atticus' body and puts him in a machine to make him better. When he feels stronger, Atticus says he wants revenge. Meanwhile, on Velt, Cora and Gunnar come back to their village with the team of warriors they've gathered. A robot named Jimmy, who used to be owned by the Empire, watches from a distance while waiting for his chance. A former soldier, Eris, has also turned against the Empire. When his commander calls to ask about the progress, Eris lies and says his team is okay and working, when actually Cora has defeated them all. Eris is on the village's side now and tells the others that the Empire will be coming in 5 days. General Titus gathers all the villagers and the team to give them a strong pep talk. He comes up with an idea. Because the soldiers really need the grain, they'll use it to protect their homes. This means the Empire can't attack the village without ruining their own supplies. Titus also says the warriors will teach the villagers how to defend themselves, so they can hold their own when necessary. After, Gunnar and Cora meet alone and do it for the first time. Then, Cora tells why she's a criminal. Cora is Bysira's adopted daughter and used to work for the Empire. She was a really good soldier and ended up being the prince's bodyguard. One day, the king decided to stop fighting and focus on peace and politics. Valorous didn't like this because it would take away his power, so he and the other lords planned to attack the royal family. Bysira killed the king and queen, while Cora followed orders and shot the royal guards. She aimed her gun at the princess, feeling unsure about killing a young girl. The princess looked at Cora and said, "I forgive you." Just then, Valorous shouted at Cora, pushing her to react. Cora shot the princess, but instead of thanking her, Valorous blamed her for the royal family's deaths and ordered her arrest. Feeling devastated by the betrayal, Cora shot her teammates to escape but couldn't bring herself to shoot her own father. Instead, she fled, changed her name, and hid at the Velt farm, pretending to be a regular war orphan. Currently, Atticus is really upset in the medical area because the doctors won't let him leave and he's tired of waiting. After shouting a lot, he ends up hurting a doctor, and then he's allowed to go back to work. Another soldier notices a scar on Atticus's chest from the medical team, but he decides not to get rid of it because it reminds him of his need for revenge. That's where Cora hurt him during their last fight. Because of this, Atticus starts calling her the Scargiver. For the next 5 days, all the people in the village and the team of fighters wake up very early to work on the harvest. Working together helps them get closer and improve their teamwork, which is part of their training. They gather the grain by cutting, collecting, separating, and turning it into flour. During this time, Nemesis spends time with the local kids, which helps her feel better after losing her own children. Titus makes sure to only drink water to avoid going back to his old habit. Eris keeps getting calls from his boss, who finds it strange that the other soldiers never show up on the screen. Without hesitation, Eris quickly says the others are watching over the harvest to prevent the villagers from cheating them, and that he was assigned to phone duty because he's new. However, Atticus can tell Eris is not telling the truth and guesses that Cora is involved. After the harvest, the village has a party, and Sam gives each warrior a handmade banner with a symbol that shows their personalities. Then the whole crowd dances and drinks to celebrate the end of the harvest. Titus even sings a calming, familiar song that Jimmy hears while on the hills. The next day, the real training starts. They move all the grain from the barns to the village and place it around every house. They dig a secret trench across the fields, hoping it will give them a surprise advantage. Eris brings out the weapons left by his former team, and the villagers look for hunting rifles and knives they might have. Cora and Titus show the locals how to use the guns. Some still prefer using blades because it's familiar from farming, but others like Sam are natural shooters. The boat Cora ran away in is still in the mountains, so the people in the village team up to pull it out and fix it in case they need it. After Eris takes care of any problems the boat may have from being abandoned for a long time, Cora tests it and confirms it's working fine. The night before the enemy comes, Titus suggests they share why they want to bring down the Empire so they can strengthen their bond. He goes first and explains that he used to be a general for the Empire. One day, a place that used to be controlled by the Empire voted to leave and become independent. Yet Valorous ignored what they wanted and sent Titus and his team to attack the capital. Titus refused to obey, and one of their ships was shot down, but his team still backed him. They fought the Empire together but were quickly overpowered. Titus then offered to surrender in exchange for his team's lives, but his request was disregarded, and his entire team was executed in front of him. Since that day, Titus has felt guilty for causing those deaths and has vowed to never surrender to the Empire again. Inspired by Titus's story, the other warriors also share their own experiences. Melas comes from a simple farm, but her people wouldn't fight and surrender to the soldiers. They were taken prisoner and sent to work in camps all over the universe. Melas ended up in a mining operation. Then, the resistance showed up, defeated the Empire soldiers, and freed the slaves. Since then, Melas has been fighting with them. Nemesis is from a small fishing village that was destroyed by the Empire. Everyone in the village was killed, and Nemesis had to watch her family die. After a terrible breakdown, she sought revenge and found the village's hidden weapons from the old days when they weren't peaceful. Nemesis, who had never hurt anyone before, used the molten metal blades to start with herself. This was part of a very old tradition that allowed her to replace her arms with mechanical gauntlets. When it's T's turn, he admits he used to be the prince of his planet. His father, the king, tried to make a deal with the Empire, but they sent back his body and promised to invade soon. The enemy ships appeared and destroyed T's home without hesitation. His mother couldn't bear it, and T had to watch her end her life. T escaped by hiding in a refugee transport, hoping to keep his family line alive. After everyone shares, Titus asks Cora for her story, but she only says she's a war orphan and used to be an Empire soldier. Titus gets suspicious when she doesn't say more, but he doesn't push her. The next day, Cora boards her ship and flies to the mountains. She crosses a waterfall to enter a cave where she meets Jimmy. They connect over their shared past of working for the Empire and their new mission to protect the innocent. However, Jimmy believes their chances of winning the battle are slim. Meanwhile, in the village, the locals finish hiding bombs in a trench just before the enemy ships arrive. As everyone takes their positions, Atticus and his men use radar to assess the situation. They find that the grain is shielding the houses, preventing them from attacking. However, they also notice that the women and children are being kept in the long house. Atticus decides to pretend to negotiate with Cora while secretly sending men there. Soon, several small ships arrive on Velt, and Atticus meets with Cora. She offers the soldiers the option to take the grain and leave peacefully to avoid violence. However, Atticus demands a larger reward and reveals that his men are already surrounding the long house. He proposes that he won't attack if Cora agrees to go with him. Concerned for the safety of the locals, Cora signals her friends to stand down and agrees to leave with Atticus. Before departing, she bids goodbye to Gunnar, who refuses to let her go and takes her gun to signal the start of the battle by shooting the town bell. The villagers emerge from hiding and immediately begin the attack, destroying an enemy ship and causing the soldiers to scatter. In the chaos, Gunnar and Cora end up in the water and seize the opportunity to escape on a horse for a different plan. The explosion gives the villagers the advantage, and soon Empire soldiers are being defeated throughout the area. Furious, Atticus jumps into the trenches and starts fighting the villagers up close to mess up their plans. Some soldiers try to run away in their ships, but the villagers throw bombs at them to bring them down fast. Inside the building, the soldiers barge in, and Nemesis fights them with her sharp weapons, while Eris and Sam help with their guns. Nemesis is a great fighter and takes down several soldiers alone, but more just keep coming. Eventually, Atticus finally leaves the ditches where he was hiding and reaches the ship near the long building. As he climbs on board, a villager jumps in and tries to attack him with a knife. But Atticus easily defeats the villager with a few moves. After using the villager's own knife against him, Atticus pushes the body off the ship. Meanwhile, Cora and Gunnar board Cora's old ship and use a smoke bomb to make it seem like they've been shot at. Since it's an Empire ship, the enemy believes them to be soldiers and allows them onto the main vessel. Wearing Empire gear to conceal their identities, the pair pretends to be unconscious, and they are taken to the infirmary. In the village, Titus and T each give strong speeches to their teams to inspire them to fight. They bravely meet the soldiers and launch a powerful attack. Inside the longhouse, Nemesis keeps fighting, but more enemies keep coming, and her mechanical arm gets cut off. Sam is also overwhelmed, and her gun is destroyed, but Eris jumps on a soldier just in time to save her. Nemesis refuses to give up and continues to fight with one hand, but she's knocked down and stabbed. Angered, a child comes out of hiding and stabs the soldier who grabs the kid. This gives Nemesis a chance to fight back and defeat the remaining enemies in the longhouse. The child hugs Nemesis, who bids farewell and then passes away. In the battle, most of their team is dead, so a villager sets off the bombs to take down as many soldiers as possible. But then the cavalry charges in, making it hard for T and Titus teams to protect the village. They struggle, but soon the soldiers bring out multiple robots that shoot faster than any human can. While the villagers keep shooting, Milia sneaks through the smoke and uses a blade to kill a few soldiers. This lets her get close to the robots and shoot their weak spots to take them down and give the villagers a chance. In the main vessel, Cora and Gunnar wait for the right time to use their weapons and take down all the surrounding soldiers. Afterward, they kiss and then head in different directions to plant bombs. At first, They blend in because of their uniforms, but soon a soldier spots Korra in the power core room. She shoots him immediately and then jumps down to keep fighting any guards in her way. A soldier sends a message about the attack, and Atticus is pleased because Korra is technically captured, which he sees as a way to succeed. He orders his men to shoot at the village, not caring about the crops or the soldiers they might lose. In the village, another big group of robot soldiers shows up, making the locals feel really hopeless. Then, Jimmy suddenly appears on the battlefield and moves super fast. He takes out a bunch of enemies and then blows up the robot, giving the villagers a chance to fight back. Meanwhile, Gunnar is waiting for Korra to escape on the ship, but Korra keeps running into enemies and has to keep fighting. She grabs a sword from a soldier and meets Atticus while his men get the cannons ready. But just as they're about to fire, the bombs explode, causing the ship to rock and the cannons to miss, hitting the hills instead of the village. As the ship starts to go down, Gunnar tries to shoot Atticus but gets shot first. Atticus and Korra start fighting with swords as they slide around the room while the vessel keeps falling. Korra kicks Atticus away, but he holds on and attacks again. They both lose their swords and Atticus tries to choke Korra, but Gunnar stabs him. Korra then pushes Atticus away, traps him in a door, and cuts off his head. Korra and Gunnar go back to her old ship and barely escape before it crashes on the planet with a big boom. The ship lands hard, and Korra hurries to help Gunnar, but he's already gone. Just then, the resistance swoops in with their ships, and together they help the villagers win the fight, beating the enemy. Everyone on the ground cheers as they celebrate. Later that evening, they all come together to bid farewell to Gunnar, Nemesis, and the other fallen villagers, burning their banners and bodies. Korra felt bad, so she finally told everyone her story. But then Titus revealed a big secret. The princess isn't really dead because she has amazing powers. Korra wants to find her and keep fighting the Empire to free the other planets. Jimmy and the other warriors promise to help. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe our channel for more videos like this.